This conference will now be recorded.
Hi all, welcome to the next session on SAP ABAP. In the last few classes we have discussed about what exactly the object orientation. We have seen what is object and um, what is class and what are the class components which we have. So class contains the attributes, methods, events, types and keys. And methods and events will have importing and exporting, changing and returning and exception parameters. An object is an instantiation of the class, and class is a skeleton for the object. And it contains the source code and keys, attributes, methods, events, and types. And also, we have seen key is a unique identity for the object or an application, and attribute is a status of an object. And attributes is a property of an object, and event is a status of an object. And also we have seen where we are going to use and what object orientation provides. It provides the code reusability, code maintainability, code readability, and data integrity and data security, and inheritance, polymorphism, and abstraction. Then we are going to use object orientation heavily in the above course, in the future course, and also we have seen how to define the class, by using class definition and class implementation and class execution, and also class instantiation for the instance classes. So then also we have seen the encapsulation, and encapsulation provides the visibility sections of the class. So that are public, private, and protected. And public things we can access from the same class with subclasses, with friends classes, and from the external programs. If it is in a private, so we can access from the same class and its friends classes, but not in the subclass, not from the external programs. And if it is in a protected, we can access from the same class, its child classes, and it's also friends classes, uh, but not from the external programs. That's the difference between public, private, and protected. And so we have seen one more control space, and which provides the code suggestion and code completion and IntelliSense. And also we have seen the static and static methods and the static attributes. So what exactly is static? Yeah, so we have to use the prefix class, and it's in a class data, it's a static attribute. It is in a class methods, it's a static method. And we can call the static attributes or static classes by using equal and greater than as an operator by directly mentioning the class. And today we'll see the instance is what exactly the instance. Okay, so instance, how we are going to use the instance things. Instance. Okay, so if it is an instance, guys, so the declaration of attributes and methods without prefixing the class. So example syntax, if it is an attribute, okay, data attribute 1, which is a type, and attribute 2, which is a type. Okay. If you define the data inside the class with the data declaration, it becomes an instance attribute case. So inside the class, not in the program it becomes a data object. But inside the class, if you define with the data attribute 1 type, right, it's an instance attribute. And methods without prefix on class. Class methods is the static, and methods is an instance. So methods and method name, and you see same importing parameters. We have exporting parameters. We have the same changing and so returning. That's the methods case. So this is an instance method. The first step is the definition of the instance attribute and instance method. The second thing is, so implementation is common. Okay, you have a class implementation, but the instance thing, definitely you need to define a data object, guys. You need to define a data object. Second step. Okay, So the data object is data. So it's an object, guys. Geo underscore, maybe my arithmetic. Let's take an example. Your class is arithmetics. So I put geo underscore ART, and here, guys, type ref2 is the operation. Type ref2 you have to use. Whenever you declare a object, you need to define the different. What is the reference for your object? What is the reference for your object? Class. Class is a reference to the object. See, so you have mentioned what exact class is in a skeleton source code sentence, and also it is reference to the object. It is in a reference to the object case. So here I am going to provide a reference. So I am going to define a object type ref2, maybe my class name, whatever the class it is, it may be class name. So here I am going to declare a data object for the your object, and then you need to instantiate the object. Third step is you need to instantiate the object. So how do you instantiate the object? The syntax is create object. My object name is geo underscore art. My object is geo underscore art. So what are the data definition you provide? So that you need to provide. So this will instantiate your object, guys. Instantiate your class. This step will instantiate your class, guys. So see. So blue colors are the syntaxes. Huh? These are all the syntaxes. So after you instantiate the object, then you need to call the, if you want to call your attributes, now execution of the attributes or methods. So how do you execute it? So instead of class, if it is an instance, you need to take an object, guys. You have to take an object geo underscore art, and guys, if it is an instance, the one more step is 3 4. If it is instance or instance attribute, or method, okay, we have to use hyphen and greater than as operator. If it is in a static, we use equal and greater than, right? But whenever you execute and the attribute or method, you have to use hyphen and greater than. It's not the equal and greater than. Equal and greater than is for the static methods and static attributes. So here my execution, see, art. Suppose if I want to call attribute g underscore art hyphen and greater than my attribute 1. Suppose if I want to call method, call method, and here I use the object, not the class, geo underscore art hyphen and greater than my method may be addition. So I have a method which is an addition case. So the operator which you need to use is here hyphen and greater than for the instance and equal and greater than for the static attributes and static methods case. So that's the instance, and today we are going to see the practicals based on the instance. Okay, how exactly we define the instance attributes and instance method, and how we are going to call the instance attributes and instance methods case. That's today's concept. So we are going to see that in the demo, in the practical now. Switch. కింద వాళ్ళు yes, now it's coming. It's, okay, I think you are comfortable with the class things, right? So till now we have seen the arithmetic operations. It's a basic fundamentals. So now I would like to introduce the actual database. Okay, so arithmetic operations are very simple. So little I am going to increase the dose. Okay, we'll handle with the real-time data. Okay, if you are doing with the same arithmetic, it's very easy. But now I will change uh, uh, my practicals with the data. Okay, until now we have seen the sales, and so in the sales we have different kind of tables. Okay, so tell me, can anybody explain what exactly the sales process and the tables transactions which we have? Huh? Without seeing my PPT, can anybody explain what is the sales and distribution process? What are the transactions involved? And what are the dependent data on the sales order? And what is customer and what is material? And what are the transactions which is used? What are the database tables which is used? So I have given long back that session, and I would like to check today. So who is having the thing is? I want sales and distribution flow and the dependent data. Sales depends on the customer, sales depends on the material. So what are the transactions involved in the customer, what are the transactions involved in the material, and what are the database tables? Okay, okay, solo performance no one will do. I think I know that. So if it is in a group performance, uh, you will you will done, right? Sales starts with inquiry. To create an inquiry, VA not zero, VA 11. Zero is famous for the sales orders. Okay, 11 to create, 12 to change, 13 to display. The header table is VBAC, the item table is VBAC. Then quotation VA 21 and change 22 and display 23. The same is the VBAC and VBAC. Then most important is the sales order VA01, VA02 and VA03, and the tables are VBAC and VBAC. So here I have mentioned inquiry and quotation and order. So these three details stored in the header table VBAC and item table VBAC. What is the difference? So the sales document type, order type, yeah. So based on the order type, we have to differentiate whether it's an inquiry or quotation or sales case. Then we have a delivery. Once you order, you are going to receive a delivery. So the delivery, we have VL01 is the transaction, VL02N is the change, VL03, sorry, VL03N is the display, and the tables are LIKP and LIPS. LIKP is the header table and LIPS is the item table. Then we have invoice and billing, and once the invoice and billing, that transaction to create an invoice or billing is VF01, and to create, and VF0 to change, and VF03 to display, and the tables, header table is VBRK, and item table is the VBRK. So if you want to create a sales order, we need to have a customer. To create a customer, the transaction code is the XD01. To change XD02 to display XD03. So we have different kind of tables in the customer. The KN1 is the customer master table, and KNB1 is the company code, customer master company code data, and KNVB is the customer master sales org data, and KNBK is the customer master bank data. And so if you want to sell, we need to have a product. First product is the material. To create a material MM01, to change the material MM02, to display the material MM03. So the database tables which involved in the material master is MARA, MARA. So which is a material master table, and MARD, storage location table, MARC, material plant data table, and MAKT, material description table. So these are all the different tables which we have. MARC and MVKE is the sales org table, MARD is the this table, and I mentioned more MAKT, material description table. These are all the important tables. Regularly we are going to use it, guys. So here what I will do is, so I am going to provide I'm going to create a material class. We'll see today about the materials. We'll talk about all the material data today's class. Okay, SE38 GCL underscore, which is a material underscore details. This is a material details class. Okay, and create. This is a program. Inside the program, demo for material details. EDG 9/7. First object orientation. Okay, my input is, when I am talking about material, my input is material P underscore MATNR and type of MATNR. So MARA is the table, and if you are not sure what is the data element, what you need to do, go to the data dictionary, and MARA is the database table. This is important, huh? MARA, always the data dictionary you need to refer. If you want to do anything, the data dictionary is the Bible base. So you can see over here. So MATNR, the data dictionary. The data almost, I said right, 90% of the times the field name and the data element name is same. Sometimes it may see here it is varying. So some rare, the 10% maybe you can see the variation. Start off selection. So what I said, if you want to define a class, always the class also in the declaration part. So class LCL underscore material is my class, guys. It's a material class, and the definition and class. And today you must define the visibility sections of the class when you define the class, and also I have an attributes. So we'll define both class hyphen data, so which is a static attribute which I am going to define. So we'll take some attributes from the material master base. So I will go to the, these are all the, other than key field, everything is an attribute. Okay, it has left. Okay, so material, some of the things. See, LVORM, this is the field, whether that material is deleted or not. So we can create, we can change the material, we can delete the material, guys. If the material is deleted, this field will set as an X. X means, so if the flag is X, that this material is deleted. Suppose I'm going to take out the data. So I would like to see all the materials which are deleted. So better always, if you want to see the data, 16N is important. Okay, which is good tool to display the data. Mara. So Control F, LVORF, which is a deletion indicator. See LVORF, and which is equal to the X. That means these materials are deleted. So execute. See guys, all these materials are deleted from the system. Okay, still you have the data, but the flag they set has an X. If they set X, that means this deleter you cannot use it. To sell, you cannot use this material in your company. Okay, so maybe I can put this as an attribute. Okay, class attribute LVORF, which is a type of that same data element which I need to take. See that data element I need to take. This is one attribute. Okay, maybe to make your difference, I can say it's an SATT attribute SATT underscore. This is a static attribute LVORF. I put to make it a difference for you. Okay, static attribute. Then I will take only two fields case, not much, and maybe MTART. Okay. SATT, static attribute MTART, which is a type of MTART, and SATT, static attribute, and MBRSH, which is a type of MBRSH. So that's the case. I have defined some static attributes. Okay, these are all the three are the static attributes. Suppose if you want to define instance attribute, then you need to define only with the database. These are all the static attributes. These three are the static attributes. Now I am going to define an instance attributes. So maybe MATKL, which is an instance attribute. Okay, instance AIATT, instance attribute MATKL, and type MATKL, and next so I am going to take EAN 11. This is I1 11 EAN 11. Okay, instance attribute underscore EAN 11, which is a type of EAN 11. EAN 11. Okay, then we have another attribute. We'll take length. Yeah, we can take the dimensions of your product. Every product will have a dimensions, length, width, and height. Is even the cell phone we have length, width, and height. Is okay, length, width, and height, and we are going to take out these fields. Okay, then I will take the important ones. Case we can take LAENG. Instance attribute, okay, LAENG, which is a type of LAENG, and instance attribute, okay, instance attribute. Next one is BREIT, which is type of LAENG. Correct. This is okay. And which is in a type of BREIT. And one more is HOEHE. I8 instance attribute HOEHE, and which is an type of HOE, and PRDHA, instance attribute PRDHA, and type of PRDHA. So control S and save and pretty printer. And so we have defined these are all the what attributes? These are all instance attributes. Instance attributes. Okay. Now we have declared the two types of attributes, static as well as the instances. Next, I am going to define a methods. Okay, we have seen class methods, and I am going to declare a methods. Only the instance methods I am going to declare. Methods. My methods is get Mara. Okay, get Mara. Importing IM underscore MATNR. I am going to import IM underscore MATNR material number. I'll pass the material number, and I am going to get the Mara details, and exporting, and type. You need to declare type, what kind of field it is. It's an MATNR. Yesterday also number one type integer. Here also the importing parameter is MATNR and type of your what type of field it is. And also we are going to define exporting parameter, and exporting I am going to declare so ex underscore Mara, and which is a type of okay, which is a type of Mara, which is a type of Control S say. So here I declare one method is, so this method get Mara, that means it will get all the details from the Mara database table. And importing is material number, and exporting the ex underscore Mara type Mara. So what kind of data object it is? What kind of data object it is? Is it variable or work area or internal table? What kind of object it is? Perfect. It's a work area. Why? Because it's in a type only, and the reference is the table, and which creates a work area base. So if it is in a table type, it becomes an internal table. If it is in a data element, it becomes a variable base. That's the difference. So whenever you define with table, it becomes a work area, guys. It becomes a work area. Save and pretty printer. And so now I am going to implement this. Okay, so implement class, and class name LCL underscore material, and implementation, and end class. Okay, first we'll see the simple declaration and method, and method is Control C and get Mara, and end method. Okay, Control S and save and protect. So get Mara details. Simple, guys. I want all the fields from Mara, and select. Okay, start from Mara into, but in Mara, what is the key field? Mara, what is the key field? MATNR. So if I pass one material number, how many records I can get it from Mara? Single record. If it is in a single, how do you select? Select the single case. You need to, based on the data, you need to fetch the database. Into, do you need to write table? No. Since it is in a single record, directly you can send it to the work area case ex underscore where MATNR, which is equal to IM underscore MAT IM underscore MAT. So this is my method case. So we have some attributes, we have some methods case. This is my instance. But if it is an instance, what I told, what are the steps? So I declare the attributes instance, I declare the method, And the next step is whenever it is an instance, okay, you need to define it, and you need to define a data object for your object. You must have an object base. It is an instance. So the object I am going to define data object. Okay, go underscore material. This is a material class, and type ref2. So my class is, what is the class? LCL underscore LCL underscore material. So you must define a data object. Okay, define data object for the class. So then the third step is you must instantiate the class base. Instantiate the class. How do you instantiate the class? So create object. Create instantiation of the class. What it is? It's an object. What is object, guys? Instantiation of the class. So create object is an instantiation of the class. What is the class? So go underscore and control space enter. That's it, guys. You must instantiate. If you want to access the instance attribute or instance method, you must instantiate the class. The instantiation of a class is an object. So now I am going to set the values. So maybe what I will do is so first I am going to use, or else we'll do one thing, guys. Instead of exporting out of this method, okay, in this method, okay, get Mara details and set these attribute values, please. Set these attribute values inside this method. Set these attribute values inside this method, please. We'll do that. We'll see. Edit. What happened? Okay, the data element is wrong. PRDHA. The data element is PRDHA. Control F. PRDHA. See, PRODH underscore device. That's the data element. PRODH underscore. EX underscore Mara is known. So I'm going to define one data local declaration ls underscore Mara and type Mara. I am not declaring any exporting parameters, guys. So why I am not declaring export is I have already attributes. I am going to set the attributes ls underscore Mara. See, first I get the data. I stored in a local work area. This is my local work area. Then I am going to set these values. If psi hyphen sub rc, which is equal to 0 and nd. And in this, I am going to set the values, guys. So my values are, so what is the attribute values? This is my attribute values, guys. So maybe yes underscore, sorry, yes, do, and yeah. See, guys, I can access inside my, this is my instance method. Get Mara is what kind of method it is? What kind of method it is? Instance method. So in my instance method, control space SATTLOVR. That means I can access my static attributes, right? So this is one point which we need to talk about in the instance. Okay. Note. First point, we can access static and instance attributes in instance method. Both we can access this. See, instance anyway you can access the instance attributes. So maybe first I will take the LOERM and which is equal to ls underscore Mara. My data is there in the work area, guys. I have stored temporarily the data in local work area. From the local work area, I will take this L V OVR. Pass the data and S A T T attribute and material type, and which is equal to the ls underscore mara hyphen. Do this. What is the mtart and next S ATT and mbrs h, and which is equal to ls underscore mara hyphen mbrs. So see, I accessed, this is my instance method. In the instance method, we can access the static ones, and in instance, we can access static attributes in instance method. This is the proof. Next, we can access instance attributes. Yeah, that is possible. Okay, I to the this IADT this, and which is equal to the ls underscore mara hyphen the field is BR, okay, BREIT and IA and next EAN 11. So ls underscore mara hyphen EAN number space control space EAN number EAN 11 instance attribute H over length LA English, okay, ls underscore mara hyphen L A LAE, it's a length, okay, instance attribute underscore H O V H O V H E ls underscore mara, and what is the field H H O H and IAT space next MAT KL, it's in a material group ls underscore mara hyphen EATKL and IATT control space and product hierarchy. So what are the fields I use? Definitely somewhere I have used this case. So definitely there is an importance. So I select only the fields which are regularly we are going to use it. Save and predict enter. So this is my instance attributes. I have set the values to the static attributes. I have set the values to the instance attributes. See, so first I selected the data based on my input material number, and I fetched the data from Mara and I stored it in the work area. Why work area? Because since we have used in a primary key as a filter, so always when you use the primary key in the select statement in where condition, you will get only single record keys. Total primary key if you use it. That time you need to use select single. If you don't use primary key, or if you use partial primary keys, partial means suppose I have table 4 primary keys, but you are passing only one primary key. That means you can get multiple records that time also. So that time you need to use into table base. If you use non-primary key, or if you use partial, or if you use for all entries, then you should use into table. So for all entries means we always use for the multiple entries. Based on the internal table data, we are going to fetch the data. That means based on multiple entries, we are going to fetch the entries. That time also we use into tables case. So we set that data by using this get mara. I set my attributes, static attributes as well as the instance attributes. That means from the instance method, I can access the in instance method we can access static and instance attributes in the instance method case. That's the one note. Okay, so maybe next time I'm going to declare one more method. It's a class methods. It's my class methods. It's my static method. So I use same maybe set attributes. Just I would like to show something and here DMR, which is a type again MAT. Okay, so this is my static method, class methods, and set attributes. I am underscore mapnode type mapnode base. So what is missing? Importing is missing. Credit printer and do a syntax check. And implementation is missing for the set attributes. And I'm going to implement the implementation method end method. See in this implementation method, double click it comes to the end method. After the end method, so again the method do the controls set attributes and end the method. And so here I'm going to write again select okay single start from Mara into ls underscore Mara where mat and which is equal to importing okay am underscore mat and if side sabasi which is equal to 0 and if and here is so this is my static method, right? So I would like to access I underscore maybe uh, I'll put static attribute. Static attributes, yes, we can access it. So that means so we can access the static attribute. We can set the values. We can set the values for the static attributes. So this is possible. Now I come to the instance attributes. Okay, IATT. Do the control space. Are you getting? Do the control space. Are you getting? No, guys. In the static methods, you cannot access the instance attribute, guys. You cannot access the instance attributes. So that's the statement. One more statement. We cannot. We cannot access the. Sorry. We cannot access the instance attributes in static methods. So this is the one more statement. But static attributes we can call in the instance method, but the instance attributes we cannot call in the static method. That's the differences between static and instance. So this is the one more point which we need to do, which we have seen the public implementation and edit and something ls mara is allowed. So declare why it is see guys. So I declared in a local class method. So this object, this work area is available only in this method only. So see in the another method it is giving me a syntax error. So that is in a local declaration space. Global means it will be available in all methods. Local means it will be available in that method only. ls mara and type save and activate. So now it's done. I instantiated the class. After the class, I'm going to set the attributes case. So call method, my call method. So if you want to call the method, what you need to use if it is an instance, if it is an instance, hyphen only, but do you use class, do you use object? Object guys, go underscore object material. Here I need to use hyphen and greater than and do the control space. You have two methods. One is get mara and set attributes space. See, I'll use one thing now. Get a mara guys and control space execute and see guys. Here you need to inject. So p underscore mat and my input of my program is the p underscore mat and r. This is my selection screen field. I pass that to this method, and in this method based on this material number it will fetch the data from the material master and it will store the data in work area. And after that we are going to pass the values, the required attributes we are going to set in the static attributes as well as the instance attribute. Okay, this is fine and this is fine. Change and do the syntax check, no syntax errors. So I set the material details attributes. Now print the details in the output. So print right. So what is the printing values now? So maybe my attributes, right? I can print my attributes guys. So geo underscore my object material hyphen. See, see guys, it is giving me both. From instance guys, you can call from object you can call instance as well as the static. But execution point of view, from static you cannot call an instance one guys. You cannot call an instance one. See, so I will give the example here. Okay, now I go to the LCL underscore material, right? I put like this. So these are the static ones. See, you will get only the static ones in the control space. You get only static attributes. So can you call the instance ones? No, it's not possible. But if I use the object geo underscore material and hyphen greater than, you will get all the things guys. You will get instance attribute, you will get static attributes. Okay, if you have an object, you execute the static as well as the instance. But when you call the direct class, you cannot call an instance attribute or instance methods case. So the next point is, while calling static attributes or methods directly from object, we can access. But in case of static class calling, the instance attributes and methods we cannot access. Guys, these are all the interview questions in the object orientation. So note, I am mentioning and I am explaining in the practical means definitely these are all the interview questions in the object orientation. They ask definitely this question. So can you call static ones by using object? Can you? Yes, object. Can you call instance one by using directly class? No. Can you call static attributes in the instance method? Yes. So this kind of questions you are going to get it, guys. Definitely sure in the object orientation. These are all the questions I always mind in the interview questions. Okay. So that I am going to put note. Definitely you are going to get an interview questions. In object orientation, whatever I am speaking here, everything is an important case. Everything is an important from here. Okay, so every point is an important, every question is every point is a question in the interviews case. That's the object orientation. And also not only for the interviews, even the implementation point of view. Okay, the implementation also very important. Every point is an important here. And this is something about the static and instance. And we see more, guys. We see more about the static and instance later. Whenever we get the points, that time I'm going to add the points over here. So that's an instance. So you understand it. How do you call the instance? So maybe I'm going to call the static attributes. So static and as well as instance from my object. So I'm going to first print the material type, then and geo underscore material, and next one is, what is that? MBE RSH industry sector of the material, and geo underscore material, and hyphen whether the material is deleted or not. Okay, yes, ALOVERM, whether it is deleted or not. Geo underscore, now S is done, and we have the instance attributes. And instance attribute I starts material group. Okay, then geo underscore material and hyphen and I instance attribute the material group and the product hierarchy, and geo underscore material. See guys, you are going to see a lot of, you should remember the fields once you see in the SE11. So next one is length, Okay, this is the length of the material and geo underscore material. Okay, and use I use I material length and height of the material and geo underscore m material. See guys, control space. So it gives me material, and this is the width of the material and geo underscore material and I, and which is in the last which is one, I think EAN. Okay, EAN number, international some identification number. Control S, control F2, no syntax, predicate and the syntax check and activate. So I'm printing all the data on the output base. Maybe we'll put a breakpoint and we see the execution base. So the material, I think we created the material iPhone. I think iPhone is the material. We'll take some of the material. Otherwise, we'll take any material. C200. C200. This is the material and execute. So first create object F6. An object is created. Click on this. You can see the object is. Double click and you can see the initially the values are, see, the values are initial. Did you set any values? No, right? Now I go back and get Mara F5, it will go inside the material and select the data, and I store the data in temporary work area and double click this and see the values. Yes guys, it fetched the value. C200 is the material and the corresponding details. So X is the deletion and MTRT, fat finished product, industry sector C. Material group is 4 and we have some kind of details guys. Okay, so I'm going to set those values to the attribute. Static attribute, I set the value and see the attribute values 1 X, material type fat, MBRSHC, and the instance attributes also I'm setting the values, and the instance attribute values are 1 0 0 interest space length. Okay, and material group is 4 and PRADH product hierarchy is this. I set the values in the method level. Now I go to the object. See, this is my object. So double click on this object. You see the values on the attribute level, guys. So in the class level, the object level, I set the values in the object level. Okay. So that object level, I am going to access the values from the object. So everything, if it is an instance, if it is an object, I can access the static one. I can access the instance one. So F8 and it is printed the data on the output. It is printing the data on the output. Okay, do you have any questions till now? Little, because when you come to the real-time data, you may get confused. Arithmetic operations are simple. Okay, so do you have any questions till now? Till now, do you have any questions till now? Do you have any questions? No. So next, here what I am doing is to set the attribute values. I am calling one more method. I am calling one more method. Method get Mara. I am setting the values to this instance attribute, but and the uh, uh, static attribute. Right? Actually, I should not. I don't want to use one more method, guys. Why I need to explicitly use one more method? Whenever I execute a class, I should set the attribute values automatically. Whenever I execute in a class, I should set the values automatically. Whenever I execute a class, I should set the values automatically based on the key fields, guys. Based on the key fields. The object will have a key. I told, right? Every object will have a key. So that is the introduction to today's class. So what exactly the key? How you will declare the key for a class? Okay. So how do you set? So here to set the attributes, I explicitly written a method, and in this method I am going to write in a class. And also I am calling that method, I am setting the values in the program. See, if you call method, then only it will set the values. I am calling this method and it will set the values. So I don't want any explicit method. Okay, I want any default methods. I don't want any explicit method. I want any implicit method. I don't want any explicit method. I want any implicit method. I don't want any explicit method. I want any implicit method. The implicit methods in a object orientation are the implicit methods, the object orientation are the implicit methods in the for a class is a constructor guys. So constructor is an implicit method for an object orientation. You might heard this statement constructor, right? So in the constructor also we have two kinds of constructor. Okay, one is static constructor, that is a class constructor, that is a class underscore constructor, class underscore constructor. This is it is a static constructor and it is the first default implicit method. Both are same. Implicit default implicit method when we execute the method. It is a static constructor. It is the first default method which will execute when we execute the class is when we execute the class or instantiate the class. Both the times instantiate the class. When you execute directly the class or when you instantiate the class, the first method which will be executed is a static constructor. Static constructor. So very important. And static constructors, we cannot define interfacing parameters. We cannot define a interfacing parameters for the static constructor. So the importing, exporting parameters are not one. Constructor is also one of the method is. Okay, every method will have an interfacing parameters, but static constructor doesn't have any interfacing parameters. So interfacing parameter for the static constructor. Next, constructor and maybe syntax. Syntax, if since it is a static class methods, okay, syntax this is syntax to define a static constructor, class methods, and which is a class underscore constructor. Definitely fixed. This is a fixed method, guys. So you should not put your name. The name should be a class underscore constructor, which is a static constructor. And can you define this importing? No, it's not possible to define interfacing parameters for the static constructor. That's the static constructor. Control. And constructor, simple, same statements. Control V. It is the instance constructor. instance constructor, and it is the first default implicit method which will execute when we instantiate the class case. Instance means always we have to instantiate the object. Directly by executing the class, you cannot get any instance thing. Like same way, the constructor also in an instance method. If it is an instance method, directly you cannot call by using class. By directly executing your class, you cannot get it. So you must instantiate the class. So you must create an object. So whenever you instantiate, that time the constructor will be executed. So not when the class is called, it doesn't execute case. That's a constructor. That's a constructor. Maybe you need to see the practicals, then only you are going to get a clarity case. Okay. So this the syntax is simple. See, class methods is a static, and if it is a constructor is an instance, do you have class here? No. Delete the class. And do you have class here? No. Delete this. But interfacing, you can define importing parameters. Importing some key always will import is key. Now this becomes a key unique identity for your object case. This is a key field here. So key field and type, which is some data element. You have to give the data element. If it is a customer object, you need to give a customer number. If it is a material object, you need to give a material number. If it is a sales object, you need to give a sales order number. If it is an employee object, you need to give an employee number. If it is a car object, you need to give a car, what is that? Choice number. And if it is an human, you need to give an Aadhaar number. Okay, that is a key, guys. So we are going to define a key over here, guys. And also, if you want to export, you can export. Always we don't prefer to export the values. So we always use the key. Whenever you instantiate the object, we are going to pass a key, guys. So whenever you are going to start your engine, we need to have a key, right? So we start the engine with the key. So this is the key to start your object, is to instantiate your object. This is the key. This is the key which we are going to use, and which is a unique identity for your application, guys. So always we define the class keys in the instance constructor. In the instance constructor, we pass the keys, guys. We pass the keys. Okay, so little hide these two concepts, and we are going to do some programming on this. Then you will get to know this. So theory always you will be having any confusion. So, but if you see the practical, you will get any clarity what exactly this. And maybe I will keep it as it is, this program, because I need to compare. I need to compare how exactly this works, and I go to the another program with the constructor. Maybe I use class constructor first. Okay, so copy the program, the existing program. We'll do the some modifications, or else I write material details with static constructor. Static, or else constructor. We use both the things in single constructor. So same thing, I have both the attributes, static and instance attributes, and I have methods, but instead of this method, I don't use these methods. So I use the default methods first. Okay, constructors I am going to use it. Okay, then implementation also delete the implementations. So this is my definition. So this is my, I declared some static attributes. I declared some my instance attributes. Now I am going to define a static class constructor. So class, if it is in a static class methods, and it's in a class underscore constructor. class underscore constructor. So do you have any importing parameters? Try to declare importing. So these are checking. And key, my key is, what is the key guys? Key MAT. So don't put MAT NR itself is in a key guys. Okay, which is in a type MAT NR. So this is my importing parameters guys. So save. So maybe if you want to differentiate this, so use key. Otherwise you will confuse. So credit printer key my material number. So do the syntax check now. The method class trunks may not have parameters or exceptions. That means you should not define any interfacing parameters for the static constructor or class constructor guys. See, so importing is an interfacing parameters. You should not declare the exceptions. You should not declare any importing parameters or exporting parameters or any interfacing parameters guys. Now, so implementation is missing. You need to do an implementation guys. So I'm going to do an implementation for this class, and my implementation is class and LCL and control space material. It's implementation and end class, and in this I am going to declare in a method. My method, what is the method? Is the class constructor and end method, and inside this method I write in a logic case. So here I am going to write in a logic to select the data selectors or from Mara into, since it is a single key, we use single keys for Mara from into ls underscore Mara and where MATNR, which is equal to the key. Okay, what happened? Oh, you cannot define the keys case. Sorry, the value is not there. The value is not there case. So I cannot instantiate. But what I can do is in this, what I can do, maybe I will put like this. I set a default value as an X. You should not have a keys case. For the static, you should not put a keys, right? So I put a value, I set a value to the deletion indicator. So see, so my deletion indicator equal to the, just I would like to do some default values case. So my deletion indicator equal to the X. I want a deletion indicator. I am setting the static attributes default values, and also I am going to set the static attribute material type. I want is an FAT. This is the material type I want for my selections. I want only these details guys. And industry sector, mechanical engineering, SAT, and this is my default selections. This my material type is which is equal to the M means it's a mechanical engineering. This is the default values I am setting in a constructor. I am setting in a attributes. What? Okay, MBRSS. It's an MBRSH. It's an industry sector. Industry is mechanical engineering, and material type is a finished product, and deletion indicator equal to the not X guys. I don't want the deleted products. I want only the valid product. Valid product means it's in a space case. Space. You can write directly space. It works. Okay. Or else you can write like this also space. Okay. Put single quote space and again single quote. Like this also you can keep it case. To indicate a space, you can put single quote space single quote. Or else directly you can write equal to the space. Both the ways it will work for the space. And also there are some constants guys. So if you pass like this ABAP underscore 2, and which is in a value of X. So instead of X you can write ABAP underscore 2, ABAP underscore false, which is equal to the space. So to avoid hard coding, normally we use these statements guys. So instead of X Instead of space, what I can use it now? ABAP underscore false. So this is the we are going to write in a programming base. So space, that means it's in a valid product. It's in a valid product. This is my class constructor base. So next I'm going to define one more method. So methods, it's in a constructor. It's in a constructor base. Constructor and importing. I think it's a wrong. Constructor. Constructor. Okay, importing. Okay, it's not method, guys. So you have to use methods. That's the problem. Okay, method while declaring you need to use in it. Okay. See the spelling mistake. Importing, here I need to define a key, guys. Key MATNR, and which is a type of MATNR. So you can have an interfacing parameters for the instance constructor. This is the instance constructor, guys. This is the instance constructor. So you can have the key, you can have the interfacing parameters for the instance constructors. Pretty printer save. Yes, guys, do you see implementation missing? But is it giving any errors on the interfacing parameters type? No. So implement the constructor interface. So I'm going to implement the method constructor and end method. Pretty printer. Now I can select the data. Now you can see, guys, select while instantiating, I select it. Okay, select start from Mara. Is it star or is it single? Single star from Mara. Okay, maybe I declare an ls underscore Mara where MATNR, which is equal to the, what is this, guys? Key MATNR. If if there is any data, you pass it, otherwise you are going to raise an error message, raise an exceptions. So size abars equal to 0. Now I am going to set instance attributes, guys. So instance attributes, already there is a code, simple. So take these values. That's it. Do the syntax check. And ls underscore Mara is unknown, and declare local declaration ls underscore Mara, which is type of Mara, guys. And do the syntax check and pretty printer, do the syntax check and activate case. Now start of selection, and you need to create an object. But before creating the object, what you need to do? You need to define a data object, and it's the geo underscore mat, and which is a type shortcut type ref to your class. My class name is lc underscore material. That's it. And now you need to instantiate the object, create the object, and geo underscore mat. And now you see, guys, whenever you instantiate a class, okay, so what is the key for this class, guys? Material number is in a key. See, it will ask for the key, guys. So you must inject in a key, guys. So what is the key for this object? The object is the instance constructor. Instance constructor will have a key field for your class. So this is the key which you need to pass it. So here I am going to pass the key value. My key is p underscore MATNR. So this is my material number, which is a key for my object. And with this, I am going to get the data. I am going to print all this database. all this data. So what is the difference here? So are you calling explicitly one more method? No, guys, not required to call this method. Instead of this, the default method, are you calling the method, the constructor method here? No, that is a default method which will be executed implicitly, automatically. By default, it is going to be executed. The class will execute, the framework will execute the methods, the constructor and class constructors. Guys, pretty print up and do the syntax check and Geo underscore material, yeah, map it is. Okay, it's an okay. Control F, replace this with Geo underscore mat. Replace all. That's it. Guys. This is the shortcuts. Okay, so do the syntax check. No syntax errors. Otherwise, you need to change everything. So you can do the replace, but when you replace it, it's very important, guys. Okay, it will replace. Suppose if you have 10,000 lines code, it will replace everything. But if any mistake, you will be in trouble. Okay, so carefully you need to do a replace function is very dangerous. Okay, you need to use cleverly, guys. That's the option. Otherwise, you will be end up with a lot of problems. If you replace, if you save, that's it, you are gone. So you can get it, that's not a problem. You can get from the previous versions also. That's a transport request function. So now the execution, the implementation is done, but now the picture comes into the see. I put on a breakpoint here. So how exactly these statements I will explain nowadays. In the debugging, the theory you see as class constructor, it is a static constructor and it is the first default implicit method which will be execute when we execute the class or instantiate the class. When we execute directly the class or we instantiate the class, which one is the first method? Class constructor. And later it is the first instance method. When you execute, when you instantiate, then only it will be executed. Okay, if it is this is the first method, when you instantiate the class, then there is no static constructor. When there is no static constructor, it is the first. Else, this will be the second method. If the static constructor is there, then it will be the second method. This will be the second. Okay, maybe you may confuse. That's why I put this statement. See, now you will see the debugging gives more clarity. Really. So I didn't read anywhere. With only debugging, I am giving this that theory part is. So with practical only I am giving this theory part. Okay, not with the theory. I didn't read any theory on this. Okay, so this theory comes from the practical only. So now you can see execute and give the C. What is the 200? This is my table. That's what. This is my material. Okay, execute. See guys, first I will go to the Geo underscore mat. Okay. So Geo underscore mat, still it is initial, not at instantiated. Double click, it is in initial means it's not at instantiated. Okay. So now I go inside and guys, what is this method? What is this method? Static constructor. The static constructor is the first method which will be executed whenever you call the class or whenever you instantiate the class. This is the first static method. This is the first method which will be executed. This is executing, and we are setting the values. We are setting the values. Maybe double click on this. Maybe not here. You can double click on the class. So LCL underscore MAT MAT no LCL. Now, okay, leave it and come back and next F5 And what is the next method which is executed by default? Are you calling the call by statement call method? No. Default, the implicit execution. So whenever this is an implicit execution case, whenever you instantiate, the two methods will be executed. Static constructor will be executed, that is in a first method. If there is a static constructor, that is the first method. Otherwise, the first default method is the constructor method case. The constructor method, and select the data. And I selected the data. I am setting the values now, guys. Select the values. We can see the values over here, and you can see that now. See, guys, now it is instantiated. Double click, and you can see the values. The static attributes, there is a value and space, and also instance attribute, there are some values, guys. So now come back, and the object is instantiated based on the key. See, based on the key, the values will differ, guys. So here you can see object means based on the key which you pass, based on that it is going to give my objects, guys. So one object means you can have multiple, instance means we can have multiple objects for a class. So F8, and you can see there is a one material, guys. There is another material. So this is my output of the uh, object base. Maybe what I said. So here one object, one material, one object, and maybe I have like this. Control C. I pass one more input parameter, guys, here. So I will create one more input, and which is the p underscore natnr 2, and which is the type natnr. So I have introduced one more input, and see. So I am going to take here. I am going to pass material 2. Okay, execute. Now I am going to execute this. First material is 200, and another material is, what is that, 301. I'm going to take another material 301. So now I have two keys. I have two keys. Okay. So first execute. It goes to the constructor, static constructor. Yeah, it is setting the values, and it goes to the instance constructor. It is executing, and here the values. Maybe you can check MATKL. These are two values, and F5. And next we are printing those values. And guys, oh, sorry, F5. And next F5, and guys, it goes the static constructor. How many times it is executing? Is it 2 times? When I come to second object, is the static constructor executes? Static constructor executes. See, guys, see that. So did the cursor comes to the static constructor? No, it directly comes to the constructor. You don't understand. Debugging, first time it goes to the static constructor, but second time, second object goes to the static constructor. No, it executes only once, but the constructor executes based on your key value. The constructor will execute. So if it is another key, I executed another object. Another object will have another key and another object. This is the object for the C301 material. So it executes the material data for the 301, and it is setting the values for the 301. So this is, and this is the value for the 301. So different values for the different objects, and execute. Now you can see. So, but there is a one record for the the values are same. That's why it is printing same values. But if it is in a different values, definitely it will print a different values, guys. Okay, we'll show that what exactly that. So, but the static constructor will execute only once, guys. That's the static constructor will execute only once, but instance constructor, it executes n number of times for the n number of objects. N number of objects. See here, two number of objects, it executes two times. If it is an n number of objects, it executes the n number of times, guys. So we can have for one class, how many objects we can have, guys? For one class, how many objects we can have? One. You can have n number of objects. See, I passed a material number 1 and material number 2. I passed two objects. I can have n number of objects for a one class case. I can have n number of objects for a one class. Multiple objects, multiple instantiations are possible for one class case. So object. It is an instantiation of the class, and multiple instantiations possible for one class. One class can have multiple instances. That's the purpose of an object, guys. Normally, the purpose of the object is we need to have a multiple objects, guys. So otherwise, why we need to have an instantiation? That's the difference between static and instance. Static means you can have only one value. See, so whatever you declare in the static, the value is same. For two objects, the value is same. See, why? Because I set in a static things in a one constructor. So first method and second method, did you change the values? No, because the values are same. If it is executed only, it will execute only once. It doesn't execute one more time. So always you will have only one unique values for the static things. So that's a static and instance case. So now, so what is the testing? What I need to do? Huh? Yeah. So maybe to give more different details, guys. Sorry, to give more further details, I'm going to introduce one more this thing, guys. Material description field. I use multiple tables now. So I underscore instance underscore maktx. This is the material description field. So what is the database table for the material descriptions? Huh? So today only I have given that. Okay, that's okay. But this time I will give the table. MAKT is the database table. So in MAKT, you see MATNR SPRAS is in a language. So the descriptions will be SAP is in a global. SAP will be used in the global. So it's based on the language we find the descriptions. Okay, MAKTX is the material description. See, MAKTX is the material description. Suppose if you see the details, so what is your material? C 200. So we'll see the descriptions over here. And also one more C 300. C 300 301. So we'll see the descriptions. Execute. See, guys. So the data is based on the language. You see the description. See, you see the different Japanese. Okay. You see the Russian language. Okay. You see the English language. EN. So it's a coating material green RAL and English coating material green RAL 604 by 10 liter, but these are 604 by 1 liter. This is a 1 liter product. This is a 10 liter product. See the material description. You can find the materials by material descriptions. So this is a one material with the 10 liter. Okay, the capacity is the 10 liter, but this is a 1 liter product. C200 is a 1 liter product. Okay, that's the thing. So if you want to do this, what you need to do? MAKTX. I did an instance attribute, and also, guys, what I need to do? I need to select the data, right? In the based on this value, I need to select the data. Guys. Maybe if size of so now what I will do? Select. But what is the key, guys? Here, multiple keys are available. Maybe no problem. So material number and language. I use two things. So I can use select single. If I use all primary keys, I can use the select single. With the common, if you pass all primary keys, means it becomes only one single key. One single key will always have one unique record. So select single start from MAKTX into ls underscore MAKTX, where MATNR, which is equal to the key underscore MATNR. I'm going to use AND, guys, and SPRAS, 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 and which is equal to the E, guys. E means it's in English, but here it's an external internal conversions, guys. In this table we have an external and internal value conversions. Come back and go to the where you see the external and internal routines. Where did you see the external conversion routine? Perfect. And go to the domain level. See, guys, there is a conversion routines for the language and input. So input, I want an input value. When you write the code, I want an input value. English, what is the input? See, guys, E. E is the input. So while you writing the code, always you need to use the internal values. While you output, you need to use an output, external values. So my external means whatever you see, that is an external. External is the English again. The input is while you writing the code, always you need to use an internal value. That's why I don't input the English. En, if I input En, it will give the dump. Okay, you have to input in a internal values. So E is the input. So I pass two key fields MATNR SPRS. You will get a single value. If psi hyphen sub RC, which is equal to 0, and if and my value IATT internal value see MAKTX, and which is equal to the ls underscore MAKTX and hyphen. And so what is the problem? Why I am not getting the control space? So you need to declare, see, ls underscore MATX, you need to declare this. So declare the ls underscore MAKTX, which is a type of MAKT table base. So do the syntax check. And guys, it's not a table. MAKT is the table base, not MAKTX. And MAKTX, and what is the field for the description? MAKTX. This is my material description. This is my material description. Do the syntax check and print up and OK. And OK. So now I have set a value for the MAKTX and print that value. Also print the material as well. Different materials, different objects. So my material is, first material is P underscore MATNR, and the description is GO underscore MAT and MAKTX. Where is the MAKTX? Print this. And next object, second object will have control C, and the second object, second material 2 is the second material, guys. This is okay. I am printing two objects now. Okay, one class will have a multiple objects, multiple instantiation is possible. This is one instantiation. The second one is the another instantiation. So the attribute values change based on your instance, based on your object. The values will be changed, guys. The instance attributes values will be changed, but the static attribute values will not be changed, guys. So static attributes values are will not change, and instance attributes values will be changed. But if you change intentionally, it will be changed, but otherwise it doesn't change it. Please. C200, C301, execute. Now you see this is a 200 material. The description is see e-coating material. This what is, where is this e-coating material? Delete this. Where is the total text? I didn't get. MAKTX. Okay, and go here and see 200 and see 301 execute. Why it's getting only some part of the text? MAK, not more. what is the table? MA, KT, and execute. C200, C301, execute F5. And C200, MAKTX. I want all the text. Why it's not coming? MAKTX, MAKTX. Huh? Why it's not getting English? Coating material green RL 60141 liter. Okay, we'll do the debugging. Huh? So then only we will come to know. So it's not getting the entire data, guys. Huh? Okay, put the breakpoint and execute. So give the 200, give the 301 and execute. See the observation, guys. Now first time, first object F5. First time the class constructor, which is nothing but a static constructor, which is executed once. Okay, set the values but m and false. Next, I goes to the method instantiated. The next one is the instance constructor, which is executed first, and selected the data, and I am printing the database. I am setting the data. The next object is okay, MAKTX, and the MAKTX. Okay, see guys, what is the problem? Can anybody tell what is the problem? I mentioned total work area, guys. I pass total work area value to this. What I need to pass actually? I need to pass only that particular field this. That's the problem. So it goes here, and next time it sorry F5, and next time next object. So I'll go to here. Next object, guys. F5 again. I'm doing one more instantiation. F5 is the class constructor comes first? No. So if you have multiple instantiations, only the class constructor executes only once, guys. That's what we have mentioned here. Where is the note points? Okay, always class static class constructor executes only once if we have multiple instantiations. If we have multiple instantiation, the static constructor which will execute first, and only once it will execute. Is multiple times it doesn't execute. And instance methods executes multiple times if we have multiple instantiations. So if you have multiple instantiations, the instance constructor is constructor also instance constructor. Instance constructor executes multiple times if you have a multiple instantiations. So the problem here I found in the database is, so I am passing the direct work area. See, this total direct work area I am passing to the attribute, but you need to pass only the description. So the description field only you need to pass it, case. And next application and debugger. Come back. So here you need to pass. You need to pass control space. Only MAKT field you need to pass. So it's coding mistake. Execute now. 200 and 300. 301 execute and execute and execute. See, this is a 1 liter product, this is a 10 liter product. Okay, two objects will have in a two different values case. This is in a different values, this is in a different values. The instance attributes are changed, guys. Based on your object, the instance attributes values are changed. This is in a 1 liter description, this is in a 2 like this. These are same ways, otherwise it would have different values case. Different objects will have in a different values for the instance, different values for the instance case. That's the name. Difference between static attributes and instance attributes, and static constructor and the instance constructor is very, very important class. Today's class is, and try to do the practice. And we are going to do more things. Still, we are in the static and instance, and we do lot things. We have in a private, we have in a protected. Okay, that we'll see tomorrow. Today we have seen static and instance. Tomorrow we'll see now private and protected methods. Now we are seeing only the public. Okay, but if it is in a private and protected, even the instance and static things, the behavior will change. So what is the behavior of static and instance, and what is private, what is protected, and what is even inheritance we have seen yesterday. Tomorrow we'll see the inheritance again. How, what is the behavior of private and protected when you do the inheritance, when you do the child classes. That also we'll see in the tomorrow's class. Tomorrow also very, very important class case. Okay, so that's the object orientation 139. Okay, so we are going to deep dive, and also guys, my plan was changed, and Monday also we have in a class. Okay, so Monday, did you plan anything? No, right? So Monday is also there is a class. I told no class Monday, but Monday is class is there.
In 130 degrees
130. Okay.
while calling static attribute from methods directly from objects we can access.
Huh?
The third line and notation.
While calling static attributes or methods directly from object, we can access. But in case of static class calling, the instance attributes and methods uh, we cannot access. We cannot access. Sorry, we cannot access. So what is the meaning is? See, what is this attributes? Tell, you ask the question. What is this attributes?
Static.
When you ask the question, it should be concentration, right? I have written also here. It's a static attributes. What is this attributes?
Instance.
Instance attributes, right? So here, start of selection. I instantiated the object. So when I instantiated the object, by mentioning the object, I can call the static ones. I can call the instance ones, right? So before instantiating this object, okay, I need to print some values like this, right? So if I want to call static, I can directly execute the class LCL underscore material, and I can call directly the static ones equal and greater than, and my attribute, static attribute. Directly I can access my static attribute. And next, I'm going to use LCL underscore material, and this is my static mentioning. I would like to access my instance attribute. I underscore do this, do this, do this, do this. Can you access the instance attributes? No, it's not possible. And also maybe instance, you need to mention the hyphen, you need to mention the greater than. Maybe that is the problem. So I do control space, I do control space, I do control space, I do control space. Can you access instance one by directly executing the class? No, you cannot. But the instance, the object, from the object you can access the static things. I accessed it. the static things. That's the third point. While calling static attributes or methods directly from the object, the instantiated object, I can call the static ones. I called it. But while executing the class, can you call the instance things? No, you cannot call it. That's this statement. So that's the practical. This is the theory. Okay. So every statement I have given in a practical. It's not a theory. Everything I have showed in the practical. From the practical only, I have mentioned these statements. Yes, not in a theoretical point of view. These are all my statements from the practical statements only. Okay. So that's the constructor. Everything, every statement I write from the practical subject. I don't write any statement without having a practicals. Okay. So that's it. Okay. 2 hours. Thank you all. Bye bye. See you tomorrow. So you have to do any practice. That's the your